Have you ever seen someone chasing a bus? Perhaps try and go up to them next time and say to them, hey, that's a real fun, exciting occupation that you have, running after buses. And that person probably look at you and pretty odd and say, "Well, I'm not into running after buses." Oh, I wanted to get on the bus. Oh, so that's what you're into. You're into getting onto buses. He says, "No, I'm not into getting onto buses. I need to get to work." That's what you're into. You're into getting to work. Well, quite frankly, no, I'm not so interested in the work, but listen, I need the paycheck. Now I got it. That's what you're into. You're into the money. You're into the paycheck. Quite frankly, no. I just have a wife and kids, and I want to take care of them. So that guy woke up early in the morning, and he was running after a bus to get onto it, so he could get to work, so he could work, get a paycheck, and all of that was motivated by one thing: taking care of his family. In other words, there's an inner will that we have that drives an outer will. Right? The inner will is what we really want. The outer will is a means to that which we really want. Why do you want to take care of your wife and kids? Because they're your wife and kids. There's no means to an end. I mean, maybe some people, when you talk about that, do that in a one-on-one session. They're your kids. It's your wife, your spouse, whoever. And the end in itself, that's what an inner will is. That powers an outer will. That's what it does. With this, we see an interesting thing. You might think that God created the world, and after all, He gave Torah and mitzvahs. In the Parsha of Yisro, happens to be this week, the Ten Commandments at Mount Sinai came in the year 2448. So, of course, the world precedes Torah and mitzvahs, because it only came into being over 2,000 years later. No. It's the whole reason why He created the world, for Torah and mitzvahs. It's His inner will. He didn't create the world so we would have trees and animals, and we would have rivers and mountains and so on and so forth. He created for us ultimately that we have Torah and mitzvahs. That's His inner will. That's what drives it to do what He does. So actually, if you take the metaphor, it's pretty interesting. The guy runs after the bus to get on the bus, and then he takes a half-hour trip to get to work, and then he works a whole week and gets his paycheck, and then goes to the bank, and finally gets to take care of his family, what he really wanted. Same thing, God creates a world, there's 2,000 years plus until He finally, is doing what He wants, giving us Torah and mitzvahs. That's just in the metaphor. There's more than that, but it's not for now. In other words, the inner will is driving the outer will, the inner desire of what you really want. So what does He want? He wants Torah, He wants mitzvahs. Why? Because Torah is entirely one with Him. Mitzvahs are like limbs of His body. Not that God has a body, but the figure of speech, right? The organs of the king. That's His inner will that drives the outer will. That is the will then to create the world. So everything that we spoke about earlier in the previous three chapters, is now we're getting a deeper understanding. We're saying the Word of God, which is the creative force of all of the worlds, is motivated, is intent It's the inner will of God, because that's only the outer will of God. And what comes out of this is something even more phenomenal, is that the whole existence of the world is only for Torah and mitzvahs. Meaning, the one mitzvah that we do, we bring the inner will of God into this world, and hence that divine light, the countenance of God, that is then animating the world. Because it's what drives running after the bus. So do you run after the bus? I imagine you do. Probably not for entertainment. Probably not as an activity. You're driven by an inner will. So we all run after the bus, ultimately for something more profound and meaningful, right? Actually, something interesting to look into our lives. What propels us? What moves us? What makes us do what we do? Well, it's that inner will that brings us to things that we do as a means to an end. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? It's a powerful idea. 2 question marks before you ask a question, please. So that way I know what I'm looking at. For everybody, please, a reminder that whatever is written as a comment, it should be focused on the teachings. And I mean, if someone needs a blessing or something like that, by all means, we're here to support each other in that way. If someone's not well or something, or even if you want to say it's your birthday and you want to, we can give you mazel tov, but with pleasure, but not other ideas. Okay. I saw a question here. Rick, is it fair to say that we are part of the essence of God, but we come closer to the Creator by performances? Absolutely correct. And that's where we're going with this. That's where we're going with this. Is the inner will from Chachma? No, inner will is higher than Chachma. Chachma is intelligence. The will is beyond intelligence. Give me one moment. Stay put. Okay, it's not the one I wanted, but it will do for the moment. Have it backwards somewhere. God's name, Tetragrammaton, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. You have there just the way it's pronounced inside there. Yud is Chachma. The tip going upwards is divine will, greater than Chachma. Chachma is already the beginning. Wisdom is already the beginning of greater form, the source of intelligence. So divine will is beyond that. More on that, time to come. Erica, the externality of the divine will merely is a shadow to bring about the means to an end. Yeah, I don't know if shadow I would use as the metaphor. A shadow is not a means to an end. I would call a shadow a means to an end. But it's a means to an end. That is true. Um, Davida, I heard the expression that to always remember that the world was created for you. Can you expand on how it relates to today's lesson? Well, yes. Adam was created singular and one, while the rest of creation was in multitudes, many trees, many animals, many species of animals, but one human. And one of the lessons that Talmud learns out from there is that and created last, a whole world set before him, that a person should know, Bishvili Nivra'ilam, the world was created for me. Well, how's it created for me? Created last. Well, just like the Torah was only given 2,400 years into creation, it wasn't at the beginning, but it was the initial thought. It was the initial intent. It's the initial desire, the inner desire. So likewise is Adam. The inner desires in him, created last. The world's created for him, meaning here it is, all for you to now fulfill the Torah mitzvahs, to bring the divine light of God, the divine will of God, that is the inner will, the inner true desire of Torah mitzvahs. Exactly that idea. Thank you, Davida. Okay. Any questions here on Instagram? Ladies, my wife is giving a class tonight. Ladies only. 7:30 on Zoom. Only Zoom. If you're interested, 770-6085 on Zoom. You're more than welcome to join. Feel free. And if you need more information on that, you can contact me. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Anybody on Clubhouse? All right. Wonderful. We're going to continue. This is just the beginning. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zech and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining. Tomorrow, 9:30.
So much, Rabbi.